name is Madison Kraft, and today I'd like to talk about nonverbal communication in a retail environment. Hello everyone! Thank you for joining me today to explore the world of nonverbal communication. First, let's start by defining what nonverbal communication is. Nonverbal communication, according to credication.org, can be defined as communication without words. It includes apparent behaviors such as facial expressions, eyes, touching, and tone of voice, as well as obvious messages such as dress, posture, and spatial distance between two or more people. In the short clip that you saw before of the entrance of a retail establishment, I would like to emphasize the importance of this specific location. This is the first opportunity an employee gets to read a customer's nonverbal communication. Through reading these signs, they can decipher who is a buyer, who is a browser, and who is likely to convert from a browser to a buyer.
Hi, welcome to Petland. Now what do I do?
So as you can see in that last clip, the customer walks in and the employee, his name is Matt, walks up and asks her how she's doing, welcome to my store, and he immediately starts reading those nonverbal signs, those messages that she's sending out to him. She walks in and he says, hi, welcome to Petland, and she immediately takes a dive for the aisles. She extends that distance between them both. So that's obviously showing that she doesn't want anyone in her personal space. She's not up for talking. She's not up for answering questions or getting help. She also, when she walks in, she makes eye contact, immediately breaks that eye contact, changes the direction, and obviously shows signs that she is not going to be a customer that you're going to be able to connect with. And that's just something that we know within the first 10 seconds. I always believed that that retail employees are the experts on nonverbal communication because it is imperative, especially with inside outside sales kind of jobs where you have that it's you're commission based, like that's your income. I mean, you have to know within those first few seconds, are they a buyer, are they a borrower, or are they a borrower and you can convert them to a buyer? I mean, their nonverbal communication will tell you. In this photo, you can see that the customer is giving off a message or sending signs to the employee. She is turned away from him, ignoring him, and facing the toys, browsing regardless of what he is saying. She's not making eye contact. The employee is trying to make eye contact and get her attention and try to point her in the right direction, and her body language is showing that she doesn't need help, she doesn't want help, and she's gonna do what she wants to do regardless of what you say.
What kind of nonverbal communication do you use to decipher whether or not a customer is a buyer or a browser?
I kind of look at how they're dressed. If they're wearing like pajama pants or kind of like frumpy clothes, then I assume that they're a browser. They just want to play or they don't really know what they want. Someone comes in and they're dressed well, they're wearing like nice clothing, they're more likely to purchase something.
So let's talk a little bit more about nonverbal communication through clothes. If you went into a doctor's office and your doctor had on a dirty lab coat, you would probably instantly want to switch doctors. Just as if you went to a construction site and they had clean clothes on, it would look like they didn't do much work. So we are constantly making these assumptions about people based off of how they present themselves to the world around them. And that includes clothes, hairstyle, whether or not you wear makeup, or whether or not you groom your beard, or if you, a multitude of things that everyone can see. So if you go into a retail store and you're wearing pajamas, the employees are less likely to think that you have money to spend, or that you really, care. And the same also works with people that are dressed nicely. If you come into the store in a suit, first of all, the employees are going to think that, okay, this gentleman is very confident, he knows what he wants, he's got money to spend, and he knows exactly what he wants to spend it on. So it's our job to make sure that we are getting you exactly what you need, and you're spending your money where it needs to be.
So what types of nonverbal communication do you use to decipher whether or not a customer is going to be a buyer or a browser?
So usually I tend to look to see if it's a family. Families tend to be in here for a purpose, usually getting pets for the children, things like that. If they're pointing a lot, seeming to show a lot of interest, if they're talking back and forth about something, usually that means they're interested.
So as you can see, employees use a lot more than just someone's appearance to tell whether or not they are a buyer or a browser. Something that is extremely important is who they come in the store with. Who are they bringing with them to do whatever they need to do? If they're with their family, generally they're going to be a little bit more cautious about what they buy and where they put their money. And if they're with their friends, then of course they're willing to spend their money a little bit more precariously. So I notice from my own experiences that if a college student comes in with all of their college friends, they're probably not going to spend any money. They're there just to kill time. But if a mother and a father come in and they have their 3 kids with them, they're usually looking for something. They're not going to bring their children into a pet store, of all places, and not buy their kids something. That is just begging for arguments on the ride home and a temper tantrum before you can even walk out the door. So it's all about who you surround yourself with when you walk into a retail store and how people perceive who you surround yourself with. Another thing that a lot of my employees really focus on is gesturing and watching just their physical being. If they're standing in front of a product or standing in front of the puppy wall and they see a puppy and they're pointing at it and they're talking to their boyfriend or their significant other or their friends, generally that means they're interested. And that means you should jump on it and go talk to them and see if they have any other pets and see if they need anything and see if you can grow their family by one. But something you also want to notice that gestures can also be extremely misleading. So they may be pointing, but they may not be saying something good. Say that you went through the cat aisle and someone was pointing at that litter and they were talking to their friend about it, and you come up and you say, "Oh my gosh, I use that litter, it's fantastic, I've never had a problem with it," and the customer says, "I've actually used that litter and it gave my cat a UTI." Those are things that you need to be prepared for. Nonverbal communication can be very helpful, but it can also be very misleading.
If I just see someone just kind of walking along here, like really slow and just kind of looking over a little bit, like they're not really going towards anything in particular, they kind of like stoop over, look at something, put it back, and then just kind of, like they're just kind of moseying along.
So there's space orientation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they don't look focused or anything, like they're just kind of looking. They're gonna head over to the puppy wall at some point. They just want to play, they're seeing what we have. They're going through, like they're moving really fast through there and then just cut right in. Like I'll go for them because you know they're gonna get something.
They know what they want.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they're
And then you
actually
can
here because they need something rather than just wanting to play.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So another form of nonverbal communication that is extremely important in a retail environment and in the world around us is space orientation. So not so much how much space you have between each people, but it's how you acclimate to the space around you and how you react to your senses. So when you come in and you know what you want, you move quickly to the aisle, you have a destination that you're getting to. Usually those are the people that the employees are going to make sure they jump on it as fast as possible just to make sure that they're getting what they need. And the people that kind of mosey in and move slowly and pick one thing up here and just they look comfortable. They look like they're making themselves at home rather than they gotta go, they have something that they have to get and they've got to go back to work or home to see the kids or whatever it may be. It's just acclimating to the space. How do you act when you come in? So we went over quite a bit. We went over the definition of nonverbal communication and all that entails. So touch, eye contact, the way you orient to your space, the distance between other people, how you dress, gestures, body language. A lot of things go into nonverbal communication. I interviewed a lot of my employees and I brought up plenty of great points on how to read nonverbal communication and why it's so important to know these signs and know how to read these customers in a retail environment. It can make a business and it can break a business. If you have no idea how to read nonverbal communication, chances are you're going to have a really hard time in retail, and you're also going to have a really hard time in life itself, just because, I mean, nonverbal communication is such a large percentage of all communication. Your mouth will lie, your body will not. So, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. My email is mc083112@ohio.edu, and I look forward to seeing everybody else's documentary as well. Thanks!